Hello. Whoa, got some people in here already. What is up? Flawless, Socks, OG Twist, Popeye. Thanks, guys. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully, if it's not too boring, I'm gonna mess around with this kind of little project I've been working on to analyze Fortnite replay files. Pretty simple at the moment. This is not Python. This is actually C#. And I don't really know C#, but the reason I'm using it is because there is a there's a pretty easy to use library. Well, I guess kind of depends on how you define easy to use, but there is a C# library that already understands all the Fortnite replay files. And I guess for other folks who maybe don't know what's going on, basically, like right now, I'm just kind of, if you've used Osirian before, it's a program that, or it's a website where you basically install their agent on your computer, and it uploads your Fortnite replay files, which are files that Fortnite saves on your computer. And then it can analyze them and tell you, like stuff like how many limbs you got, the people that you killed, whether or not they're bots, and that kind of stuff, which is great. And I've played around with it and used it and like it. So I'm basically just kind of trying to write something a bit simpler where you can just run like a very simple program on your computer. And what is up, GMO? Thank you for the biddies. I got to give some shout outs here to everybody. Let's see. Who am I missing? Sock minutes. I mean, I'm probably just shouting out to people that are already following each other, but we gotta do it. So if you're on and you don't give any of these people a follow currently, please do so. And then where's OG Twist? GMO says, make sure you write the code for his infinite money glitch. Dude, I would love to do that. I will, the second I figure that out, I will not tell you because I'll be too busy swimming in infinite money. But basically, like, so I guess to start off, like, I'll just kind of give a quick demo of where it's at, which is super simple. But on my computer, I've got, and even if you don't code, you should be able to at least understand this part. This is where my replay files are saved by Fortnite, which is probably the same for most people. Just swap out, kind of doxing my first name here, but I think everybody knows that, or a lot of people know that already. Or change the code so you can be better at Fortnite. I don't know if I could do that because that'll probably be whatever I try to do there would be detected by anti-cheat. Also, I mean, I know you, GMO, you wouldn't want code to make you better at Fortnite. That would take the fun out of it. So this is the replayer where the files are saved. And so I'm just going to go ahead and run this program right now and kind of go through like what it's doing here. So basically it goes through and it finds the Fortnite files, and then it builds up a list of all the players that were seen in the game. And so these are going to be players that are basically, and I don't know if I can bump the font up on this. You know what I was doing before is I was just like putting all this stuff into Notepad so that it was easier to see, because I bet this is like super freaking small for people. So let me do that real quick. I'll just grab a little bit of it and then fire up Notepad here real quick. That way I can increase the font size. So yeah, basically it's going to go load up this file, and then in the replay file, what is up, Marley? Socks would also like code to make it better. Okay. I'll work on that next. I mean, hey, what is up, Kirkland? Thanks for popping in. For folks just joining, I'm going to probably do for the first bit of the stream, do a little bit of coding, which I know is kind of different from what I've normally been doing, but trying to kind of get into it a little bit more. And was really just kind of trying to think of like, what are things that I do already that might be interesting to do on, oh, you don't want to cheat, you just want to be better. Got it. Okay. I guess there's a difference there. I mean, if there's like code that could at least highlight, almost like kind of like what a VOD review would do, but highlight mistakes that you make so you could, and let you know about them so you could fix them. That would be pretty useful. And honestly, you might be able to do some of that with this. There is like, if you, so this is just super simple right now, and I'll just go over what it's doing. So it loads out my Fortnite replay files out of the folder that they're in, and then it builds up a list of all the players that you saw, which in this case, these are all the players that I saw. This is the unique ID, which is like every player has a unique ID that Epic issues them, and that's the unique ID, and that's kind of how they're referenced in the game. And then this is the their username or their IGN, and then this is basically whether or not they're a bot. And so those are all the players seen, and then it goes through and it just kind of like finds your elims, tells you if they're a bot. As you can see, this person is not a bot, and they have like some sort of crazy character name. And then these are all pretty much like average bot names: Carne Asida, 3Jabland, all that stuff. GMO says he did get a solo win yesterday. That is awesome, dude. I was really close to getting one yesterday, in builds actually too, which was kind of funny. Let me give you a quick crown here. That's awesome. And then yeah, they're really hard to come by. Honestly, like I found that even like solo 0 build BR wins, like I used to get them all the time, and this season I've had a lot of trouble getting them. And then reload builds, yeah, even less frequent. Anyways, these were basically just kind of going through and showing you all of your limbs, whether or not they're bots. I don't remember which match this was, but as you can see, I'm guessing this was probably a squad game given the number of limbs, because I normally don't get that many limbs, but majority of them were bots. There was a few. There's actually only one person in here that was not a bot, and it looks like they were limbed 3 times. And so I think that's kind of where things are at in terms of what the program actually does. And so I was kind of trying to think about what to do next. And so if you have any ideas, let me know. I think one of the things I wanted to do is try and like add a little bit of a GUI to it so that you could at least select like where your replay files are. And then possibly kind of, like start presenting stuff in a table view. And those are a couple of the ideas I had. Let's see. GMO says, yeah, reload builds. Those kids are relentless. When it comes to ending circle, it's tough. So totally. Yeah, so the first thing I'm probably going to do, and I'll probably do this for like maybe like 20 minutes and then jump into some games, but I think the first thing I'm probably going to do, I've written a bunch of this code. I could like walk through it really quick as well. So in C#, you generally have to kind of define what's called a main function, and that's going to be like where the program starts. Let's see here. Kirkland says maybe amount of games played per user. Bots play less games, I think. Yeah, I don't know if that data is. It's a good idea. I don't know if that data is actually available in the replay file itself. I could like potentially wire it up to like Fortnite Tracker or some other. I think Fortnite Tracker would probably be the main place where you could have it like look up statistics on the player in Fortnite Tracker. If you typically look up like bot users in Fortnite Tracker, some of them is interesting. Actually, like Epic makes some of the bots anonymous, and then some of them are not anonymous. And I think that's just to kind of make them look like real players a little bit. But I could potentially add something to look up their stats from Fortnite Tracker, which would be actually, I'm just going to make a few notes in here. Let's see here. Refactor. This is the next thing I do, is just kind of move some code around, but possibly I'm just going to add a note to my future self here. Possibly add Fortnite Tracker data. That is a good idea. And then Marley asked, how many languages do I code in? I think like, so I primarily code like the 2 languages I've probably coded the most in are Python and Java. I've done a bunch of like little stuff in, various other languages. I mean, I've done like a little bit of stuff in Golang. And I'm trying to think of what else. This is I've C#, which is a fairly popular, a big language in the Microsoft ecosystem. I've done like a little bit of in the past, but it's not something that I'm like super comfortable with. So I'd say maybe like before this, I probably spent maybe like 10 or 15 hours um, coding in C sharp. But it is very similar to, so Java, which has been around for a long time. I mean, I think since, I don't remember when it came out, if it was like late 80s, early 90s. It's evolved a lot and changed, but it's been around for a long time. And it's used in a lot of like enterprise business software and stuff like that. Um, it's very similar to C sharp. So given the fact that I've written a bunch of Java before, um, this is like, I kind of like can fumble my way through it. Definitely not, like I said, I'm not super proficient at it, but I'm generally like know enough to be dangerous. GMO says, to tell you how hard, 1.5% in solos and 20% win in squads, reload build. Wow. Kind of curious. I'm actually going to pull up my stats real quick here and look at them because I haven't looked at them in a while. Let me see if I can find them real quick. This might be kind of embarrassing, but whatever. Let's see here. I'll bring them down to the main screen. Let's see, is that large enough for folks to look at? I think so. So probably blow it up a little bit. There we go. Kirkland says he's terrible at C sharp. Since retired, I need to study for a while before being proficient. Cool. Well, I mean, you probably know more than me, Kirkland. And actually, I think you worked at Microsoft for a while, didn't you? So you probably got more exposure to it. So GMO says 1.5% is so low, I don't get any wins. So let's see here. My lifetime win percentage is 7.8%. I'm almost at 500 wins. That's pretty crazy, at least for me. I know that's like for some people, that's like the number of wins they get in a season. I think this is also partially inflated by Blitz, or not, maybe not even partially, maybe even more than that. Last 7 days, 16.8. Last 30 days, 25.3. I bet though, when we start filtering down to game mode, it's going to be fairly worse. So squads, I'm at 18.3% with a KD of 3.38. That's actually better than I thought, because often in squads, I feel like especially like squatting up with people that are better than me, I find it hard to get kills because it just takes me longer to kill people. Hey, what is up, Sarah? Thanks for popping in. First time chatter, welcome in. Yeah, I know. It's like usually in squads, I find that, like I often have like 0 to 2 kill games because I'm just playing with people that annihilate. And so they get like 10 kills and I get hardly any, which is fine. I'm happy to just, like play support role or whatever. Let's see here. Wonder if I can snooze. Ad break starts in 2 minutes. All right. Well, that's good to know. Let's see. So yeah, 3.38 KD is higher than I expected. Solos, my win rate is 3.9%. 147 wins. But I wonder if let's look at Blitz alone. So it's saying that in Blitz, I've got 176 solo wins, 113 duo. Is that right? That seems higher than I would expect. And then does it let you choose? Let's see here. Whoops. Reload, reload win percentage is, Marley says, that's me. Loot Goblin and Medic and Squads. Totally. That's often my role in squads as well. So in reload solos, I've got a 3% win rate, duos 3%, squads 11%. I've only played 363 solo reload matches. That's surprising. I didn't think it would be that many. And then squad matches 125. So yeah, that's obviously, I mean, you're always going to win more in squads anyways. Just statistically, you have a better chance of winning, but that's also being carried a lot as well. I'm kind of wondering, so it seems weird to me that, so all time, I've got 147 solo wins, but then if I go look at Blitz, it says I have 176 solo wins. So I'm wondering if this all, I don't think that this all number includes Blitz. Because if it did, it would be a lot higher. And that's what I remember, like in the beginning of chapter, or at the end of chapter 5, early chapter 6, I think I was around 100 solo wins. So that might be right. It is kind of weird though. That doesn't really make any sense because I would think that like if I did all, then that would include Blitz and regular, but it doesn't seem like it does because Blitz is 176 solo wins, which is still, I'm surprised I have that many. And my win rate, solo win rate in Blitz is, I was expecting that to be closer to 30% for solo win rate in Blitz, but it has been a bit harder in the past couple of weeks. So that could have something to do with it. How are you doing today, Sarah? Thanks for popping in. What's going on? Kirkland says, currently watching Silicon Valley, been deep diving into it for the last couple of weeks. Oh, dude, Silicon Valley is hilarious. I mean, I worked at a couple of Silicon Valley startups over the years, and honestly, like, despite how like crazy that show seems, there's a lot of it that's like really founded in reality, and sometimes it's kind of painful to watch because like the stupid stuff people do in that show actually happened to me, or I've experienced it firsthand. So I don't know. I think if you've ever worked in tech, it's a great show to watch. It could be funny for people that haven't worked in tech, but I would definitely, if you haven't seen it, I would definitely suggest checking it out. All right. Well, I guess like let's go kind of look through the code here real quick. See if anybody has any questions. But basically, I'm using this library called Fortnite Replay Reader, and so this was written by someone who went ahead and like I think they just reverse engineered the replay file format. And so the replay file on your computer is like basically like this compressed binary data, and it doesn't really make any sense. Like you can't open it, the file, and look at it. It's just going to look like a bunch of gobbledygook. It looks like we've got an ad break running, so I'll just kind of let that roll for now. 3 minutes, man. I wonder if there's a way to make that shorter. But I'll just kind of keep talking through this, and hopefully folks don't miss out, or you've got like Prime, Twitch Prime or Turbo or whatever. So yeah, so basically like this library already that I'm using, Fortnite Replay Reader, it already understands all the data in the replay files. So I don't need to know anything about that. And then I can basically just kind of point to my replay files and then create what's called a replay reader. In this case, I'm calling it reader. That's my replay reader. And it has this parse mode option, which is basically, it can like, it's kind of like the depth at which it will try to parse out the replay data. There's a few, let's see here, looks like there's like parse mode full, parse mode minimal, and parse mode normal. And so I don't know what each of these levels do, but I expect that like one, for example, probably just gets the most basic game data out, and then normal might get like, you know, a little bit more game data out, and then full gets everything that it can possibly get out. And I think the reason they do this is probably like for performance reasons. If you're trying to read like a ton of replay files, or if you're running like a service like Osirian or something where you've got to like parse files for people on demand to get them their game data, you want to do it as quickly as possible. So you want to have like a dial that you can use to decide how much data you actually pull out of the replay file. And then basically, once I've got that, I'm just going to go through all of the files in there. And I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is basically kind of create let's see, got some suggestions here. Kirkland says also maybe try to add crown wins if it's allowed, which would eliminate bots. Yeah, so crown wins I think is actually in the data, because if let me try to pull something up here, which might be useful. Looking at, so I've used Osirian for a while, and I'm going to try to show it on the screen so you guys can see it. I'm just waiting for it to load. It kind of takes a while to load here. their app is kind of slow. But Osirian.gg is kind of like what made me think of doing this, because I've used it for a little while. And so they are basically doing this in a much obviously much more complicated and user-friendly way. But if I go into matches and then pull up like one of my matches here, let's see, their match. This is like when they analyze the match, like I believe this is basically like what they're doing, the equivalent of like a much more advanced version of like what I'm doing, which is analyzing the replay file. So this was a ranked reload squad match that I played. And then you can see like this is basically the scoreboard, which shows the placement of players that I interacted with. And that's, I think, an important part about the replay files that people like to realize is that the replay files don't have all of the game data. They just have the game data that was in your general area as you move through the game, because that's all Fortnite on your computer can see. As you move around the game, it's getting data from the server about what's around you. I don't know like how big of a radius or proximity it is, but it does have their level and it does have crown wins in there. So you can see, basically from all of those players. And this is going to be a ranked match, so you can see that there's no bots in here. And so yeah, like Osirian will actually tell you, basically like for each person how many player limbs they had, how many AI limbs, what their crown wins were. And so this is all using the same file, so I'm pretty sure that I could extract all of that out in a similar format. And basically like what I'm thinking about for this is I definitely like first and foremost, like I'm not trying to like productize it. It's really just like a hobby project. And I don't think I have the time nor energy to like build anything that would compete with Osirian, and I don't want to, because I think that they have something that works, and it's just not what I want to do. This is just more of like a hobby project. And so what I'd probably want to do is just have it be like a simple kind of like terminal based program where you can like point out a replay file and it can show you the data. And so the use case would be like you're someone who wants to get a little bit of data about who you were killed by or who you're killing in Fortnite, but you're not like serious enough to like go pay Osirian, like $5 or $6 a month to use their thing, and so you're willing to do a little bit of extra work and have not as slick of an experience. But I could, so let's go ahead and look at like so I'm going to open up the replay file, and I'm going to create this dictionary, which is basically like all of the players in the game, and then what their name is, what their ID is, and whether or not they're a bot. Because I need to like get all that data up front, because the elimination data doesn't actually have that in there. So I'm basically kind of extracting the user's player ID, their player name, and their bot status, and then putting that like in a little bit of like a spreadsheet. And then doing a little bit of data checking here, where I'm just checking to see if there's null or empty data. And then if it's there, if there is, I'm putting in like a placeholder value to just say unknown, so that it's not null or empty. And then in player lookup, I put in their ID, and then I put in a tuple, which is a data structure in this case that has two values, name and their bot status. And then that allows me to come back and look it up later. So I can always go back to this player lookup thing, give it an ID, and then it'll give me back the data about the player's name and whether or not they were a bot. And I'm going to find out, Marley says, I'm going to find out that he's been a bot the whole time. I mean, it's quite possible that you are just an AI, that an AI that's gone ahead and like created a Discord for streamers and like pops into my chat all the time. That would be that would be pretty hilarious if I've just been like, talking to an AI this entire time. At this point, it wouldn't surprise me, but the best AI, the best bot in the biz for sure. I would agree with that 100%. Other things I'm doing here is just kind of putting in the version of the replay file. I think, their Fortnite has a version, but then like the replay file format itself is versioned, so that if you're going back in time and looking at old replay files, you can see what the version is. So I'm also just printing that out on the screen. And then the game network protocol version is so Unreal Engine games have, the network protocol, which I believe is just basically how they encode data and send it back and forth. And so that's versioned as well. And so you can get the version of that. And I think the replay file is actually just like a log of the game network protocol data. Um, and so I just print that out on the screen just for reference, because that might be useful to see at some point. And then going through and looking at, now I'm just going to go through and look at all of the eliminations. And then basically, so for each is a way to loop over all the eliminations. And so basically it's saying for each elimination, do the following thing. And I'm basically taking the player ID and then looking up their name and their bot status and then printing that out. And that's basically all it's doing right now. So one thing we could do while folks are here and asking questions is that I can go ahead and try to see like what other information we have for the player data. So that would be probably up here. And I think to do that, why don't I just go ahead and I'll just mess around here a little bit. So for each var pd dots, look and see if, actually, I could probably go, I think I could probably go look at this. Let's see. So player data, so this is going into the source code for the library I'm using. And so they've got obviously player ID, and then it'll return you the Epic ID, and then if that's null, then it returns you the platform unique net ID. So it looks like, I don't know if you noticed, but like there's different player IDs, I think, can be based on different things based on which platform they're on, if you're on like Xbox or PlayStation or PC. And so that is just some stuff handling there, handling that situation there. So we've got, interesting, there's this bot ID and isbot. Isbot is what I'm using to determine if it's a bot. I don't know what bot ID is. That may be a unique value that they assign to bots if they are a bot, and I'd have to probably do some like messing around with that. Player name and player name custom override. So I don't know what the player name custom override is. I was kind of wondering, I've noticed that in some cases when I like friend folks or look stuff up, Kirkland says, I'm in the rear with the gear. Marley says that's what we call each other. Oh, the bot ID is how bots, yeah. So Marley's a bot, and he uses the bot ID to refer to other bots. I don't know what player name custom override is. I was kind of wondering if that has something to do with the fact that like sometimes when I look up people or friend them, they have like a shorter name than what their actual like Epic name is, but I'm not entirely sure. This is interesting. Streamer mode name. I have no idea what that value is or how you might set it. So that might actually be like, I wonder if that's like some sort of like internal like value that they have for flagging people who are like known big streamers, or if, I don't know, I'd have to go look that up. It'd be interesting to find out what that is. Maybe I'll do that after the stream, or if someone wants to like Google it or ask ChatGPT, feel free. I got to change my headphone batteries here. Level, we know what level is, so we can definitely extract the level data. Season level UI display. Huh. I don't know what season level UI display means. Maybe somebody, again, these are probably things that we could ask ChatGPT about, or look them up online. Someone may have already documented them. Inventory ID, don't know. I wonder if inventory ID, I don't know what inventory ID is. Um, I was wondering if maybe if it could be like when you're actually like looking at player data from a live player, like what slot they have, the ID of the slot they have equipped, possibly. I don't know, just a guess. Um, Player number, team index. I assume team index is like their position in a team. Like if you have a squad, for example, they probably assign each person in the squad a value, like, you know, 0 through 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, or like 1, 2, 3, 4. Is party leader. We know what that is. Is replay owner. That's interesting. So you can actually like look if this value is there, that would tell you if that's the person that owns the replay file that you're in. Is game session owner. I don't know what the difference would be between these two. I guess it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Has finished loading. Interesting. I don't know. Has finished loading. That could possibly be whether or not someone has loaded in yet. Kirkland Boz says maybe guessing slot inventory is bots don't change perfectly or do change perfectly. Not sure exactly what you mean there, but bots don't change perfectly or do change perfectly. Maybe if you could, I'm not sure exactly what you mean there, Kirkland, but I think you're talking about this, the inventory ID up here. I was kind of guessing that that was, yeah, that was like what's equipped, the idea of what's equipped. Has started playing. So it looks like there's a couple different player states. So like has finished loading, I'd assume is loaded into the lobby. Has started playing. I don't know like what would cause you to start playing. Maybe is that like jumped off the bus? That could be. These are all things I should probably go off and like look up and see if we can figure out what they mean. But I'm assuming has started playing is jumped off the bus. Has thanked the bus driver. Is using streamer mode. I don't know what streamer mode is. I wonder if streamer mode, because there's is using anonymous mode. So that's when you don't have your name, when you don't have, oh, you know what? So there is, I am guessing that anonymous mode, well, we know what anonymous mode is, and that's just when you play in anonymous mode. I'm wondering if streamer mode is when you don't show the player names on the screen of the people you eliminate. That could be it. So anyways, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. Death cause, death circumstance. I don't know what that is. Death location. So that is a vector of death location. Death time, death time double. That's actually going to be, this is interesting because there's death time and then there's death time double. And I'm assuming death time double is just, it's a double precision floating point. So it's going to be a more precise death time than the first death time. Cosmetics, I'm assuming that's like what cosmetics you have. So they'll, you know, probably tell you like skin and shoes and other stuff like that. Marley says, Google says Fortnite code for streamer mode. Rather, you enable it in the game settings to hide your player name and others' player names, which helps prevent stream sniping. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was wondering because there's because you can hide your name to other players but still see the names of the players you eliminate, or you can also, I think, hide the names of the players you eliminate as well. And that's kind of what I was thinking, was that that's what streamer mode is. And then there is current weapon. Okay, so current weapon would actually tell you what's equipped, but then inventory ID must be something different than that, because current weapon obviously would probably, I'm assuming, would tell you the slot. Now, the question is like, there's all of this stuff in here, but I am guessing that not all of it is available for every bit of data. So one thing we could do is I could try to access one of them and see what happens. I'm trying to think of what might be a good one. Let's try platform. So platform is probably going to be what they're playing on. So let me go back and try to add platform. So I will add var platform, and that's where I'm going to store it. And then T is the player data entry. So I'm basically kind of looping over all the players, and then T is going to be the entry that I'm currently working on. So if there's like 30 players that I've seen in the game, it's going to go through all 30 of them, and then I can just do this on every player. And I need to get the platform property, and I don't know, like I could go into this in more detail, given kind of like I'm sure that like there's varying degrees of understanding of this, but basically like I have to this whole get property thing is because the way that the data comes in from the game, it's the types of the data, like what is it, is it an integer, is it a string? Those are not known ahead of time. And so we kind of have to because of that, I have to use this get property thing, um, and then stick it into this variable, and then I'll also make sure that it's in a string. But that's just kind of like a nuance of like data serialization in the serialization library, where it doesn't know, like it's going to get a bunch of data and it doesn't know if that data is text or is it numbers or is it something else, and so um, we have to do it that way. So now I've got this platform here, this platform value. And so I think the only other thing I will need to do is also print it out. And I just got to find the code where I actually print it out. So, right. Okay, so there's two places I could put it actually. This is the initial player lookup database that I build, and I just kind of print out each one of them. And so I can actually just add platform here. And we can say, let's see here. Oh, actually, I think, let's see, if I do player dot, is platform in here? Or player and player lookup. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I got to do something else. I forgot. Okay, so we've got the platform, but then we need to store it in the player lookup database. So I actually need to change this to include that as well. And so I think I can just make this, I can just add a new field to the tuple. Let's see here. I'm not sure. I mean, usually tuples are just two items, so I might need to actually change this data structure a bit to do that. I'm not sure in C. Like, I feel like I know in Python I could just create a triplet there. I don't know. I don't think I can do that in .NET. I'm not sure. So I may need to do something else here. I could actually create like a whole new class for this, I guess, if I wanted to. I might be able to just make this a dictionary. And then that would be like a dictionary point. For now, here's what I'm going to do. Just to make this a little bit easier for demonstration purposes, I am going to quickly change the bot value to platform just to see if we're actually getting that information out. And then I'll come up with a more robust way of doing it. So now that I've done this, I've just swapped in the slot where I had whether or not it's a bot, I've just swapped this to the platform. And so now if I, now when I print this out, I should be able to see that, and I can just to make this a little bit easier to understand when it prints out, I'm going to change this to platform. And so this would probably be like a key part of like refactoring this or kind of changing this code up, is that, as you can see, like I'm right here, I kind of used a very limited kind of data structure to store this data. And as we're figuring out more and more. So Marley says, can you find skin data? I need to find out if it indeed is always Sabrina Carpenter who kills me, because that's, so I think I can. There is a cosmetics value as well. And I think I'd have to go look and see what is in the cosmetics value, but I think that that is possible. For now, I'm just going to swap out bot with platform and run this and then see if it works, and then see what it tells us. So let me go ahead and actually I'm going to restart it so that I have a clear console. All right, so we're going to run through it once. Interesting. Platform. Okay, so let me go ahead and copy and paste some of this back out into Notepad so folks can see it. So very hacky here, but you can see like I switched that to platform, and so now I've extracted this information where in this case this player is Windows, or claims to be on Windows. This one is blank, and I'm assuming that's because it's a bot. So that would be something that I'd also want to handle in the future, is like a null platform, and I'm assuming that bots are always going to have an empty platform value. This player was on PS5. And then this player down here was on Windows. I'm assuming XSX is Xbox, or no, maybe is that Switch? I don't know. That's something I'd have to go figure out, but that is clearly, it looks like these are kind of like the three ones that we've seen so far. I'm just going to put them up here so we can look at them. So there's XSX, there is Win, and then there is PS5. And so those are the three platform values I've seen so far. This has got to be either Switch or Xbox. And we'd have to go through probably more data. Okay, Kirkland says, I'm not a smart man, barely know decent English. I am right there with you, man. I was like watching my VOD reviews. I was watching some of my stream VODs the other day and noticed that I say, whatever. All the time, and I was like, man, it doesn't even sound like English. I'm mostly just kind of like saying filler words versus words of any significance. So let me see if I can get the let's go back and look at player data again. So what I'm thinking here is that we've got a bunch of player data, and I'm thinking that I'm actually going to change this a little bit to make it easier for me to add more player data in. And I'm actually just going to make this, I am going to make this dictionary of player data much simpler. And I'm just going to make it a string value, which will allow me, and then I'm just going to put it all in there so we can print it out. So player lookup was a dictionary with a string key and then a tuple, and now it's a dictionary with a string key and then a string value. And then what that should allow me to do is actually just easily basically make this equal to a string where I put in, I'm going to put in, let's see here. Let's see, we'll do player name is bot platform. So now I'm just going to store this string or text that has the player name, their bot status. I'm going to change this just to be a little bit funny. Bot or not. Platform, okay. And then that means that now I've just got all that in there. And if I want to add more stuff, I can just jam it into this text. And that will make it a little bit easier to add stuff in the future. This isn't the way that I would do this. Like, as I kind of like improve this program over time, I'm going to make it more structured. Um, but for right now, just for kind of demonstration purposes, this is fine. All right. And then let me go here. Let's see. So for elimination, so now we're going through and we're going to look up we eliminate for an elimination. We're going to look up the player and we're going to see if it has the ID. I'm going to check here. Let's see. So Marley says those are the best words. Yeah, I mean, they must be the best words because I use them like all the freaking time. So clearly they are the best words. And then Kirkland Boz says, is there a way for a timer on it for halfway through the map? Check the deets. Uh, there should be. So I haven't gotten that far in this code yet, but I could actually show you. Let me pull up on the screen here. Let me pull Osirian back up on the screen. So if you can see my screen, this is basically, Osirian uses the exact same files that we're using because it just uploads them from your computer. And they have this interesting feature, which I guess isn't really, it's basically like this file that we're using right now is actually like what if you go into career replays in Fortnite and then look at your replay files and then do a replay, this is the data that basically drives that replay. So in theory, you can reconstruct a full replay from this. And one of the ways which Osirian does that is that using the replay file, they kind of have like this map here. So we can basically kind of watch this in real time, and you can kind of see like people jumping off the map, and the bus moving, and then and so this is all generated from that file. So all the data is in there. I haven't gotten around to figuring out how to reconstruct the timeline, but given that we can do this, I could very easily, like I assume to do what you're talking about, where you want to see like last X minutes or last 10 minutes, you'd basically just kind of extract all the timeline data, and then extract all the data, like in some sort of time ordered format, with all the time offsets, and index it based on time or something, and then you can go through and pick, like the last 5 minutes, the last X minutes, whatever. And as you can see, it's even showing like my inventory here as changing as I do stuff. So all of that stuff is in the file. So that is in theory possible. I'm just I haven't gotten around to figuring out how to access that data. And given that I'm using this like Fortnite replay compressor library, if it has it in there, then I should be able to get it out. All right, so getting back to actually getting more data out. So I changed the way that the player data was saved. So I've got to go fix that here. So let me go ahead and try to fix that now. So string elim name, player lookup contains key, eliminated info, player lookup. All right, so I'm actually just going to change this to call this elim record, just because it'll be more correct in terms of the data that's in there. And then I should just be able to access the ID, and then just write it out to the console here. And then let's just write out, actually I could just do probably, let me do this. I'll do, so I can put a carriage return in there. Elim record, getting some weird autocomplete stuff there. Computers love to try and write code for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so I think I've achieved that. So now in theory, we should be able to see platform, bot, and player name. Yeah, I think it would be super cool, Kirkland, and that would be really handy. think I'm going to actually, just so I don't forget, I'm going to add that up here. Let's see here. Examine data by time, for example, X minutes, last 10 minutes, etc. That's often, for better or for worse, I often just drop notes into the code when I go back later, I can remember stuff. All right, so I think we've got something working now that should show all three of these. So there we go. All right, so that is looking better. Let's go ahead and copy that, and I'll put it into Notepad again, so that I can show it on the screen. Maybe bump the font. Is that the max size font for this? I should be able to bump the font up, right? I'm surprised it's not going up anymore. Whoops. All right, well, hopefully you guys can see this. So we started the program, and then we're looking at the files I have in that directory, and now I've got oh, there's a bug here because I'm printing player name twice, but it is working. I've just got to reformat the text. That's the player ID, the unique ID of the player. That's their name. That's whether or not they're a bot, and then that is the platform. And so obviously for the ones that say bot true, their platform is empty, which is expected because they don't provide platform data for bots. But then for the ones that are false, this one's PS5, this person is on Windows, that person is on Windows, that person is on Windows, and then this is XBL. So I'm assuming XBL stands for Xbox Live. I wonder if can I change, if you guys have any feeling on the font size, definitely let me know, because it's hard for me to tell. I imagine some folks are on their phones and you may just not be looking at all. But I'm going to go ahead and bump this up a bit. And so hopefully that's a little bit easier to see. So yeah, so we've got the player ID, the player name, whether or not they're a bot, and then their platform. So I'm assuming now, based off of this, that XSX is actually the switch, because XBL is going to be down here, is going to be Xbox Live. And then we know that PS5 is PlayStation, and then Windows. And I'm trying to think of what other XS, I mean, I'm trying to think of what XSX could be. I could try to Google that as well, or ask ChatGPT. It would probably tell me. Interestingly, we haven't seen anything to indicate mobile. And I don't know how they fingerprint or how they identify the mobile players. Like, for example, I'm assuming they'll tell you if it's like Android or iOS, but I don't know that because I haven't seen any data. If I go through like a bunch of Blitz games, I might be more likely to find some mobile players, and then determine whether or not they are, I think that they do identify Android and iOS individually, but there will be some. The other interesting thing to note is that they appear to use three character identifiers for the platform. And I'm assuming that this will be true for all of them, since what we've seen so far is three. I mean, we can't assume that it's always going to be three characters, but XBL, WIN, PS5, XSX, they're all three character identifiers. And it's interesting because I don't know why they do it that way, but I could speculate that, when you're building a game protocol, you want things, like you want to be like super conservative with data. And so maybe I'm kind of actually surprised that this isn't just like a integer value, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, where like 0 is, Windows, 1 is PS5 or something like that. ChatGPT says XSX is Xbox Series X. Interesting. Okay, what is, I don't know much about Xbox. What is Xbox Series X versus, so there, because I'm assuming XBL is Xbox Live down here. Is Series X like a different type of Xbox? I could look it up and see. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a few more. Let's see here. Never trust a bot. Well, that's why I can't trust you, Marley. I know Popeye's not a bot because I've seen him live on Twitch, or at least there's a person that claims to be him. But I don't know if you are. I still don't have an. Although I did talk to you when we were playing Minecraft the other day, so maybe I can. Let's see here. It's like PS5 for Xbox's newest model. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm actually just going to make a few more notes in here just so I can remember them. So let's see here. Platform codes seen so far. We've got, oh, look at that. It's actually auto-completing that for me. That's funny. PS5, XSX, XBL, and then I think that's all we've seen so far. Okay, so yeah, XBL, Xbox Live. Is Xbox Live do they mean, is that the streaming Xbox where you like just stream the game and you don't actually run it on your computer? I wonder if that's what they mean for Xbox Live. That would be interesting to know because I was kind of assuming that like if you were streaming the game that it would just show up as like whatever platform you're streaming on, like because I know Nvidia has like GeForce Now where you can stream the game on a computer that they have in a data center, but it's just a Windows PC. I wonder maybe Xbox Live must have its own unique identifier. That's pretty cool. Okay. And then I'm just going to make another note here so I can see. What did you guys say XSX is? I forgot already. Xbox Series X. Okay. Got it. Xbox Series X. PlayStation 5, duh. And then Windows. So I'll just make notes for that later because I forget stuff a lot. All right, so we've extracted platform now. I'm kind of tempted to go back. I think Marley had asked if we could extract cosmetic information, and I don't really know, so I'm going to go try to find out here. So let's go back and look at the player data structure and see. So there is this, where was cosmetic? So let's see here. Death cause, death circumstance. There was a cosmetic attribute. Cosmetics. Okay, so cosmetics is going to be some sort of like collection. Like it's not going to be because you can have multiple cosmetics. So it's probably going to be like a data structure that has a bunch of different stuff in there, but we can just print it. We can try to get it and then see what's in there. So let me go back and try to get that out. All right, so to do that, we will need to extract cosmetics, or try to at least. And then we know that the property, I don't think that I don't know where it's getting this cosmetic loadout thing from, the autocomplete. I think that that's garbage. So let's try cosmetics. It's probably capital C. Oof, cosmetics would be big for no real reason. You mean just the data structure itself would be big? If it's like I'm assuming that it's some sort of, like it's probably like an array or something of cosmetic IDs. I don't really know, but we'll find out. Yeah, for no real reason. Yeah. Yeah, because I imagine like not, I mean, I guess it depends on how it's structured. Because like, I don't know how many cosmetic options a player has. Like, obviously, they have shoes now, they have cape, they have back bling, they have skin. And so it could be that if they have like fields that could be empty, that is kind of a waste of data because you're sending, potentially like just the field name. Like, if I don't have a cape equipped and we're always sending like cape equals empty, like that's some wasted space of data they could just skip over. But it may also just be like there may be some other like creative way that they do things. I guess the other thing to note too is that I am like, when we're looking at this data, we're looking at a deserialized format of it. Or, you know, like it could be that like when it's actually compressed into the file, it's much more condensed. But then when we extract it out using this library that I'm using, that it makes it more readable. So what we're seeing here may not necessarily be the way it's sent back and forth over the network, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so we've got cosmetics. So let's get cosmetics into our data and just see what the hell it is. Cosmetics. What are some like cosmetic, like, you know, like, is it like L'Oreal? Is it what I should know like more brands of cosmetics, but I don't. Okay, so yeah, cosmetics. All right, so now in theory we should, it's possible when I print this out, it's just going to show me the type of the data structure or something, because I may need to actually do some more expansion on it. But we'll see what happens when I run this. I'm really just like literally just like fumbling my way through this. I honestly haven't done any of this stuff before, so so I really don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so I'll show you what I got in Notepad so we can see the larger text. Okay, so for cosmetics, we got Fortnite replay. Okay, so this is a data model of cosmetics. So we need to do a little bit more. And basically, like what happens is that when I print, if I print something that, and I'm not like, in this case, like this value is actually some sort of data structure with a bunch of different values and fields and stuff in it. And so because I'm printing out something that is not a simple variable, like a text, a string or text or an integer, you know, number, it's telling me, it's printing out, the default behavior is to show the type when it's converted into a string or into text. And so that's what we're seeing here. So that tells me that I need to go back and potentially do a little bit more work to get this out. Let's see here. Let's see. And Kirkland says time's huge. That change every map if they don't win. Yeah, no. I can totally see how, like, like I said, I don't know what the cosmetics, how it's sent over the wire or over the network. And so what we're seeing here may not be how it's sent. It may be, you know, like an extracted version of much more compressed data. Okay, so let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and inspect this cosmetics thing a bit here and see if there's anything. Actually, you know what I could probably do? I could probably go into, I wonder if I do var cosmetic, is it going to find this for me? This thing has a cosmetics data model, and so I'm just trying to figure out how I can actually get access to that. Let's go back and look at Notepad for a second so I can see what the type was. Okay, so Fortnite replay models cosmetics. Okay. Cosmetics 1 equals, let's see here. I'm kind of thinking if I just do this. What is up, Kirk? Thanks for the biddies, Kirkland. Cosmetics, is this going to auto import? Okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. My last biddies, you're very talented. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You know, I'd like to say in the scope of programmers, I'm kind of, you know, average, but kind of figure shit out sometimes. Okay, so here we go. We have figured out, this is in the library we're using, Fortnite Replay Reader. This is how they define the cosmetics data structure. So there's character gender, which is going to be an integer. And then there's character body type. And then there's parts. And then there's variant required character parts. So this is actually like a super complex, uh, I mean, I guess it's not, I don't know, it depends on how you define complex. This is more complex than I was expecting for the cosmetics model. But yeah, so they've got the gender, the body type, parts, variant required character parts, hero type, banner icon ID, banner color ID, item wraps, skydive contrail, glider, pickaxe, is default character, character, backpack. At least they have, yeah, there's a lot in there. Is default character, backpack. I mean, in some ways, you know, that kind of like smells of like, if you've ever worked on software before, you know, you kind of like start off with like something very simple. And then, you know, over time, you know, people are like, oh, we need to add new features. We need to add back bling. We need to add this. We need to add that. And you just start piling it in. And it definitely kind of feels like that a little bit here. If ever like, you know, it's kind of funny having like worked on a bunch of different software applications that have been around for a long time. You can kind of like see almost kind of in some ways extract like the history or the legacy of it just by looking at how code is structured or how data is structured. Okay, so pet skin, music pack, ooh, dances. So that must be the list of emotes that the player has equipped. I'm curious to see. One of the questions I have here is like, are all of these things available for every player that I encounter? Because it may not be. Like this data model could not, like it may not be that we actually will be able to see all of the emotes that someone has equipped. It just may be that that data is available in some cases. But we could definitely try to find out. So let's look at, I'm going to start with character gender. And so let's see here. Get set. So it's interesting. So I'm assuming that this says that you can get or set. I mean, obviously, like in our case, we will only be able to get it because I'm just wondering. It's kind of striking to me that it has get or set available. I would not expect that. I would just expect get. That basically is just kind of like in this, as they're defining these things, this tells you basically what you can do with this value, whether or not you can just get it or actually set the value. But that could just be because like maybe, you know, I don't know why that is, but there could be that, you know, there are situations where they're using the same data model like on the, or actually, I guess probably the reason why is it's probably the same protocol that they use for like when you go into your locker and configure stuff. And so in that case, you would be able to like set these things, but obviously like not, you know, like in game and whatnot. All right, let's go ahead and try to get one of these out. So we've got okay, so we've got cosmetics, and then let's try to get character gender out. Okay, so cosmetics. Why is this giving me an error now? Returns a string that, oh, right, because I converted this to string, so we don't want to do that anymore. So we should just be, let's see here. Cosmetics equals T get property, cosmetics. Can I just do that? I'm not, okay, let's see. Get property. So we've got var t, which is the, oh, that's the type of our player. And then type get properties cosmetics. And then we need to tell it which value, which thing we need to get it on. And again, bear with me because as I said, like this is not my primary programming language and I'm not super familiar with it. So we want to get property cosmetics on get value player data. And then, but that, I wonder if I can just, let's see here. I could go ahead and, since I'm not super familiar with this, I could just go ask ChatGPT real quick and see. I mean, basically what I want to do is I want to extract the cosmetics property and put it into something that is of type cosmetics. So that is something that I know how to do. Like, I mean, I understand what I'm trying to do, but I just don't understand exactly what I need to do that. So let me, and that's kind of, in my experience, that's one of the areas where something like ChatGPT comes in super handy, where I can just basically ask it and say, I'm trying to get the properties, trying to get the cosmetics property into a object of type cosmetics and see what it says. And we will see from there. Thanks again for the biddies and the emotes and everything. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm glad you are enjoying it. Okay, so let's see here. So it says that this is a clean, null safe way to get a property via reflections, but this is giving me some sort of syntax error here. So there might be something that I am missing. Let me try this again here and see. So is it maybe, oh, right. I may have had that question mark in there that carried over. Okay, so this is actually, I think this will actually compile. Converting null literal or possible null value into non-nullable type. Yeah, so this is basically warning me that what I get back from this could be null. And so that could potentially raise an error. I'm just going to run with it for now. This is like something that I'll just put a note in here. Could be null. Deal with it later. And then in theory, now I've got this cosmetics thing. And so we should be able to like extract some data out of it. So let me go take a look at it and see. Cosmetics, pet skin, pickaxe. Let's just do pickaxe. Let's start with pickaxe and see if we can extract the pickaxe from this. So we'll add this into our player ID lookup here, and I'm just going to change this to say pickaxe, and then that would be cool if this works. Cosmetics dot, I mean, and also keep in mind that this pickaxe, I'm expecting this pickaxe of it to not be a name. It's probably going to be a yeah, so it's telling me cosmetics may be null here, which I'm aware of. And this is a warning. It'll still, I think, let me compile it and run it, but it's possible that this will cause a crash or error. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and run this puppy and see what happens. Maybe we get some pickaxe info out of it. And again, it's probably going to be like some numerical or alphanumerical value. I don't think it's going to actually have the pickaxe name, but we can try it and see. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, it is actually a that is interesting. Okay, so it's actually able to decode that. Or it, I don't know what, I mean, it's storing something that actually tells us more about the pickaxe. So, all right, so now we've got for Bama Baby 3822, not a bot, platform we know is Xbox Series X, and pickaxe is pickaxe underscore almond splash. So that is the pickaxe that player was using. So woohoo, we got it. That's awesome. That was actually more productive than I thought. And then we can see this player's got pickaxe, ballet, assassin, pickaxe underscore ID underscore 722 turtleneck male. This person had the default pickaxe. This bot had an empty pickaxe value. This one is the Jonesy Cube pickaxe, lurk female. Hey, what's up, Dark Tech Gaming? What is up? Thanks for coming in. I don't know when you joined, but I'm just kind of going through and right now and like just kind of messing around and coding up a very simple Fortnite replay file analyzer. And so I don't know if you've played Fortnite Dark Type, but you get these replay files on your machine and they have data about the game. And there are like commercial tools that you can use to analyze them, but I'm just kind of going through and writing a very, very simple one to extract some data out of it. Yeah. So so basically, like, in this case right now, what I've got it telling me is like it tells me the unique ID of the player, their name, whether or not they're a bot or AI, what platform they're on. In this case, XSX is Xbox Series X, and then pickaxe, basically the name of the pickaxe that they have. And so yeah, it's just and you know, I'm just kind of going through. I've never actually kind of messed around with this data before, just the other day. So I'm just kind of going through and learning. But effectively, yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's telling you all that stuff. I don't know. Are we in an ad break now? Can you guys tell me if you're seeing ads? Okay, it says ad break in process. Let's see here. Thanks for sitting through the ads. It says that the ad break will end in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But yeah, if you can still, I don't know if you can still hear me or if you're in the ad break. That is basically what we're doing is we're just kind of going through and whipping up some very simple kind of almost ghetto-like code to extract the data. So I'm trying to think of what else we could get. We could try to get some other stuff out of cosmetics. We've gotten the pickaxe. So maybe what I'll do here is I will, let's see here. I'm assuming pickaxe is a string. So let me go ahead and, okay. And then there we go. We can do that. And then string, what else do we want to get out of there? Character, let me go back and look at the player data, decompiled player data here. Cosmetics. What is up, Big X? Thanks for coming in. How are you, man? All right, I want to go find out where we had the cosmetics model open. And I think I should, there we go. Okay, so character, gender. We've got the pickaxe. Cool. Glad to hear you're good. Yeah, we're just kind of messing around here. And oh, we could get glider out. That would be another fun one to get out. So we could extract the glider. So that would be glider equals cosmetics glider, or default it to unknown. And then let's see here, glider. And actually we don't need to, I can change this now to just pull out pickaxe, glider, and then glider. We need to do a string format here. Okay, so that is a good question. So Big X, what I'm doing is I am basically writing a program to analyze Fortnite replay files and just kind of messing around. But basically, like I've got, on my computer, if you go into like replays and under careers, you'll see all the replays you have. And those are all files of data on your machine. And so I am basically just kind of using some code to analyze them to extract some data. And so I'm just kind of going through and exploring the data that I can that I can extract. And so I'm going to go through and run it again and see if we can actually get the glider info. So Kirkland says, try to find the least amount of skin, defines immediately real threats. Are you saying like basically like try to find the least amount of like try to find the default skin, or like assuming that they're sweats, or no, not actually not cheating. This is so far from cheating. No, definitely not cheating. Just kind of like this is like honestly, like what I'm doing is no different than it's just a very like simple way of like looking at a replay. So we're gonna rerun it. Yeah. Need to get like a cheating emote. Bro, go look at my Fortnite tracker stats and tell me if I'm cheating. But we'll see. If they suddenly go up after this, then that could be. Then that's definitely sus. Yes, data collection. Okay, so we've updated this now, and so we're looking at this replay file. And so Bama Baby 3822, not a bot. Their platform is Xbox Series X, and we already knew their pickaxe was Almond Splash, but now we know that their glider is Aqua Peony. And then the next player here, Athena or Apollo, they are a bot. And then their pickaxe was the Ballet Assassin, and then their glider was Majesty Male. I don't know what any of these gliders are, but these are obviously names for gliders. Glider ID, it's interesting to see. So, and this is kind of as a software developer or data person, this is kind of interesting to look at because I'm gonna mess this stuff. I'm gonna put some of this data like right next to each other. It's always fascinating to me, and I always wonder what. So these are like different glider names here. And so like we've got, these are different gliders that we've seen on people in this game. And so this one is called Glider ID 302 Majesty Male underscore T1 ICF. This looks like some sort of color code here. And then there's Glider Aqua Peony. And then there's Glider ID 182 Sheath. So some of these glider names have an ID number in them, and some of them don't, which is like kind of interesting because it almost kind of like, you know, kind of makes you wonder like why did they start putting the ID in there, or like why did they not put the ID in there for this one, or like was that something that they changed where like originally they didn't put the ID in there and then they added some new feature later and they're like, you know what, it would be really nice if we had the ID in the glider name because then we could do something else. And like this one down here, this glider has the ID in it as well. Glider ID 196. And then obviously default glider does not, we've seen that one quite a few times. That one does not have. What's the new one? Kirkland says, I got a new one. What is it? Let's see. But let's see here. And you do victory gliders because victory glider is definitely not a bot. Oh, you mean like the victory umbrella? Like one of those? We could do that. The thing is, I would need to go through and basically figure out what I would need to figure out what the name or what the value is for that. You're talking about like the victory umbrellas you get like when you get the first victory in like OG or in Battle Royale. I'm assuming that's what you mean. If you could go ahead and if we could figure out what the name of that glider is or what value they put into that field, then we could definitely do it. What I don't know is that, so I'm trying to figure out how, like, after the fact, we already know that they're a bot because it tells us in the data. During the game, I don't actually think you can analyze the replay file during the game. Like that's one thing that I don't know that there's a way, I haven't tried, but I don't know that there's a way to actually analyze this file while the game is still running or while the game is still in play. Like it may not even save it in your on the hard drive until the game is over. I'm not entirely sure. Because I think in that case, if you're talking about basically figuring out what glider someone is using in real time, that would technically be cheating. And so I probably wouldn't do that, because if I mean, you could argue whether or not it is, but like, I guess if the computer's, if the data's, data's there in a file on your computer for replay, maybe it's not, maybe it is, but I feel like that would be cheating. My purpose here is just to kind of like basically like, look at it after the fact, after the game's over. Ah, yes, I need to ask the file nicely. There you go. That is what, yeah, maybe, I mean, I could start up a game and see what the replay file, if the replay file exists. And maybe that's what I'll do, is like the next time I start up a game, I'll look and see if the replay file is there and then copy it in the middle of the game. That would be a good question. In fact, I'm going to add that to my notes here as well. Question: can you open a replay file while in game? And if so, can you parse it? Because the other thing is that it's possible that they may just start writing the replay file as you're playing. But it may be that like what we're using, the code that we're using to parse the replay file, may not be able to work with that file until it's completed. I don't know. It's just kind of a guess. But those are all things that those are all good questions. GMO says this. Are you talking about ask the file? What do you mean? Are you asking me what I mean, GMO? If is there something in particular you want me, I could explain better or kind of dive into? I'm going to go ahead and see what else we can get out of the... all right, so we know we can get cosmetics out, so that's interesting. I don't really know how useful that is for after the game analysis, but it is kind of fun to play around with. Oh, okay, cool, no worries. So this is something that I've been like often like this is the weirdest creative I've ever seen. Hey, thanks. Hey, Nuke, did you just pop in, or you've been on for a while? Yeah, when I saw the Elmo GMO, I hovered over it to look at the text, because I've realized that like sometimes like when I use emotes, I just use emotes because they're interesting emotes or I like them. Other times people use them to actually like express questions or other things. So sometimes I'll try and read them and try to figure out what people are saying. Cool. Yes, you can get anything from the file if you ask nicely enough. Cool. Yeah, what we're doing, Nuke, is I'm just writing. I'm writing a very, very simple program to analyze Fortnite replay files, and so I can give you a quick demo here. I'm just analyzing a file from my machine, and I'm gonna copy and paste the data we're extracting into Notepad just to make the font bigger. And so this is basically the data that I've extracted out of the replay file, which if you've ever used like Osirian, I mean, it's basically very similar. I'm just kind of trying to write something on my own. So it's player ID, the player name, whether or not they're a bot or not, true or false tells you they're a bot. Platform on this is empty because it is a bot, and bots always have no platform value, but it would otherwise tell you if they're like on Xbox or PlayStation. I can also space this out a little bit. Now that I've added more and more data, this is becoming harder to read. But basically, it'll tell you what platform they're on. And then let me see if I can find a not bot. So like down here, this player, Robo Koa 9, is not a bot, and they're on PS5. All the bots have empty platform. Their pickaxe was the Claim Reflect pickaxe, and then their glider was the Jupiter Mail glider. So yeah, anyways, that's what we're doing right now. It's just kind of I'm not actually like coding in creative mode. I'm actually just coding something in C Sharp, which is a Microsoft .NET framework language. And I'm primarily using it because there's already a library that allows me to there's already existing software that can read the Fortnite replay files for C Sharp. And so that's kind of what I'm messing around with. So I'm kind of thinking that I may go ahead and try to get out one more bit of information and then take a quick break and maybe actually play some Fortnite. But let's see here. So we've got platform, we've got pickaxe, we've got glider, we've got bot status. Let me go back and look at the player data again to see what else we have in there that might be interesting. Bot ID, player name custom override, streamer mode name, inventory ID, player is party leader, is game session owner. So in theory, we might be able to extract kills from there. I'm kind of curious what death cause is. And if we can, let's try to get death cause and see if there's any data in there. That could be interesting. All right, so let's do string death cause equals let's see, player dot get property, but we actually want death cause, not death circumstance, right? Is that what it was? Because I think that's what it was called. Let me see if, let me go back and look at the player data model real quick here. Death time, death cause. And so this is going to be an integer, which means that it's going to map to some numerical value, which we won't actually know the meaning of. But we could at least try to, and maybe I'll get kills as well and see if that's in there. All right, so let's do int kills. All right, so now we're going to get the kills and we're going to get the death cause, and then we'll add that into this thing here. So, oh, right, and then I don't actually need to have this in here because that's duplicative. So let's go ahead and remove that. So I may actually change, I'm going to try to condense the text a little bit because it's kind of hard to read everything. So let's see here. Maybe I'm just gonna make this a little bit shorter. Platform, pickaxe, glider. Let's see here. Name. Maybe I'll add. Should I add death cause here? Let's just put in cause and then death cause, right? Is that what I called it? Death cause. Okay, and then we'll add kills as well. And we can put that in here, kills. All right. Let's go ahead and run this again and see what happens. Actually, let me clear it. It's just easier to read if I start with a fresh terminal. Interesting. So I'm getting an error here, which is reading unable to cast object of type system UN32 to type system oh, interesting. Okay, so there's a casting error when I'm trying to. I'm using the wrong data type there. And it looks like that's probably only happening when the kills are not 0. So let me go see if I can fix that here. And actually, there isn't any reason why I can't just, I could actually just make, I'm putting this into a string anyways, so I can just make kills I can just make kills a string and just do toString, right? Is that, that should, or 0. I'll just say unknown because I don't know what it's going to be here. So can't assume that it's 0. Although I do have some, okay, so we can remove this because we no longer are casting it to an int. And then let's see here, T get properties kills, get value PD. Let me just go ahead and change this up a bit here. Okay, so now we'll try and get this, we'll try and get the kills value and the death cause value of the player. And if there's nothing in there, then we'll just set it to unknown. And let's try this again. I'm going to close that out. FN replay. All right, so now we got some new data. So let's go ahead and check it out here. Copy and paste some of it. Into Notepad so we can make it readable again. There we go. So let's take a look and see. Okay, so in this case now, we've got player ID. Their name is not a test 22, definitely a bot. No platform, kills unknown. So they had no, there's no value in their kills field. And so I'm assuming that kills must be null until maybe something is in there. So maybe we should just have it default to 0 if there's nothing there. Death cause unknown. So we didn't get a death cause value. This is interesting though. So for this one, we actually got death cause of 4. So I wonder what 4 means, because I'm assuming that like all of these death. Oh, okay. So this person died of cause 2. This person. So let's. I'm going to go ahead and maybe copy and paste this out a bit, so that we can look at it a little bit easier, and then just go ahead and bump all this stuff down. Actually, I'm just going to delete all this and then use these as examples. So this player, Shield Horse 63, is a bot, and they had an unknown number of kills. I'm assuming that just means 0, but we'll see. But their cause of death was 4. This person was me, oh, it's me, Modpack Dad. I am not a bot, so that's good. That jives. Platform was Windows, which I am on. Kills unknown, so I'm assuming I had no kills. My cause of death was 2. And then pickaxe, glider, and then chorizo, leet chorizo 1337. 1337 is leet speak. They're a bot. Platform unknown, kills unknown. Their cause of death was 4. So like it could be that like I'm wondering if I died of like, I'm just kind of gonna guess here, right? But like let's say that like 4 is that you got killed by another player, and 2 is like you died of fall damage, or 4 is like, you know, maybe 2 is died to storm. We could ask ChatGPT for that as well and see if they actually know what the cause of death values mean. Which I could go do right now. So let me copy and paste this, and we'll ask ChatGPT if it knows what the cause of death values are. So let's see here. In Fortnite data parsing using Fortnite replay compressor, which is the library I'm using, let's see here. What do the integers in the death cause field mean? For example, I have a death cause value of 2 and another of 4. What are the actual causes of death? So right now I'm just going to ask ChatGPT what the 2 and the 4 mean, because it may already know. We'll see. See what it comes up with. So let's see here. It looks like, okay, so Fortnite is built on Unreal Engine, which commonly uses enums for different predefined causes of death, e.g. none, fall damage, explosion, weapon. If you have access to unpacked game assets or data tables, try searching for death cause or e-damage type like entities. These often reveal what numerical values line up with which cause. Okay, so it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like ChatGPT actually knows. It's giving me like some good ideas of how I might find out, but it doesn't know, and I was kind of hoping that it would know. One obvious way to figure out what these mean would be to just go into game, kill yourself, and then look at the files, and then look at what death cause is set to. So if I go in, and we could actually try that right now. I could just try to go in and like die of fall damage in a game. Should we do that? Let's do that. We can run an experiment here. So let me go ahead and start up Fortnite, and we will try this. And I'm just going to go try to die in a game of fall damage, and then we'll see what the death code is. We can do that as an experiment. Sound like a good idea? Okay, so I guess let me go ahead and turn on Fortnite game capture and then turn off main screen. And so while Fortnite's loading up, we'll all right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to run an experiment where I'm going to go into a game and I'm going to attempt to die of fall damage. And then I'm going to look at my replay file and then see what the death cause was. And that would be, and that is kind of like a very, what's the word I'm looking for here? I mean, this would be a very slow way to map them out, but you could map them out over time. And so hopefully I don't get killed off spawn, because I'm actually trying to not die of gunshot wounds. I'm trying to die from fall damage. So maybe I'll go land on the bridge and then just kill myself that way. We'll see. And then I'm trying to think of like what of all. So you could die from explosion. You could die. I'm curious how granular they get. There's a lot of different options for dying, and so it would be interesting. I mean, I'm wondering if I go like look through some of go search around on the internet. I'm surprised ChatGPT didn't know what the cause of death values meant, because I would assume that is documented somewhere, or someone has figured it out, but maybe not. But like I said, we could, the slow way is to just go into the game, die, analyze the data, and see what the value is set to. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And then now that I know that, I could also kind of I could go back and as I look at games, I could make note of how I died, and then go back and look at the data and start building up a map of how I died, or of what that data means. And so in a lot of ways, this is just kind of like, if you've ever worked in data or software development, sometimes like these are just kind of the things that you do when working with other people's software, is that you just have to like go do something, see what happens, then go do it again, see what happens, just to figure out what is going on. So the goal of this game is die of fall damage, and then we can go look at the replay file and see what my cause of death was. So to do that, I will probably I'm going to go somewhere kind of off the beaten path here. I guess I could just go to bridge and just land on the bridge. Right? Isn't that what they do in the tournaments? In the over 40 tournaments? I'll just go land on the bridge and then fall off. Okay. Now the tricky part is that I actually need to land on the bridge. I don't think it should be that hard, but we'll try. Hopefully I don't mess it up here. Got somebody flying in on me. All right, so we want to land on the bridge and then fall off the bridge. Hey, what is up, D-Rock? We're running an experiment right now where I'm trying to figure out... just don't accident... Yeah, okay. So here we are. We're on the bridge, and we're going to die. Boom. Okay, sweet. So now we've died. So now we need to go analyze the replay file and see what the cause of death code was. So let me switch back to, let me exit out of Fortnite and go back to the IDE. And then stand by here. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Wait for it. Okay, so let's go back into Visual Studio. All right, so now I'm going to go look really quick at my replay files and just make sure that I get the most recent one here. So that should be, let's see here, 12:55 p.m. on 9/2. And the replay directory should be like users can app data, I think, local Epic Games. Oh, actually, I've got the path in here. Let me find it. Where is the path to my replay file? So my cause of death should be fall damage. So once we load up this replay file, we should see what the code for fall damage death is. Okay. So we are at 8. We've got a bunch of replay files in there. And so actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go remove all but this most recent one just to make it easier to see what the data is. So let's go ahead. So that's kind of what I'm doing in the background right now. What you can't see is that I'm just copying and pasting some replay files to reduce the amount of replay files in my current directory. So we'll only have the most recent one. And so in theory now, let's go ahead and run this puppy and see what happens. How are you doing, D-Rock? What's your day like here? So that did not work for some reason. Hold on, let me clear this real quick. Let's run it again and see what happens. Okay, so unsaved replay file 12:52:57. That looks correct. An error occurred while reading the replay file. Value parameter key null. Interesting. So something about this replay file. I'm wondering if there's like a bug or something in my code because it's so short. Let me go rerun this again and see where the error is. As we play so an error occurred while reading the replay file. Value cannot be null. Parameter key. Okay. Value cannot be null. Parameter key. Files in directory get files replay dir. Var replay. I'm trying to figure out which null value it's complaining about. I'm also wondering if maybe Fortnite, if I needed to wait for it to finish closing the replay file. Let me go look and see if the file is there really quick. And we will try this out one more time. So I need to go to my replay file directory. And if you want, I can actually throw this down here so that you guys can see what I am looking at. So I've got my replay file. This is the game that I just played where I died of fall damage. So that should have the data that we're looking for in there. And then when I go through here, I just need to figure out why it is crashing here. All right, so it found the directory, and now it's reading that replay file, and value cannot be null. Parameter key. Does it tell me what line that is on? To automatically close the console when debugging stops. Value cannot be null. Parameter key. All right, well, I realize this is probably super boring, so bear with me here. I was really hoping to get, I'm just trying to figure out where it's almost like there's just not like something in this code is assuming that certain data exists in the file, and due to how short the file is, or like how quickly the game ended, there may be something in here that I'm assuming exists that doesn't always exist. And so one thing I could do is I could try to play a game and run it a little bit longer just to make sure that we get more data in there, or I could go through and try to figure out where my bug is. And so I'm kind of tempted to just go ahead and let the game run for longer and do it that way, because it could take me a little while to figure out where my bug is. So let's go ahead and start this puppy back up again, and we'll try it again. And I'll play for a while and just try to make sure that I die from fall damage, even though it's possible that somebody may kill me. So we'll go ahead and load that up. And then if you can think of other ways, so I could die of fall damage. I could also try to die of storm damage, would be another option. And that one would probably that would be almost guaranteed to have enough data in there to not encounter any of the bugs that I just had. So maybe I'll try that instead. I'll try storm damage. The other thing I could do is I could also do it in reload, because then I could do multiple, I could die multiple ways in a single match. And then let's try that actually. Let's try reload. And then what I'll do is I will try to die multiple ways in a single match, and then we can look at the data from that and see what happens. I think that's a good idea. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna take a quick camera break while this game loads, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, King, I'm messing around with the Fortnite replay parser that I'm building, which is just kind of like a very rudimentary ghetto kind of Osirian type thing that I'm hoping to expand on over time, but mostly just kind of experimenting with right now. And so far we've gotten it extracting the player data, whether or not they're a bot. It extracts some basic cosmetic data, like what their pickaxe and gliders were set to. And right now, when we were exploring the data, we discovered that there is a cause of death. Yeah, it should work in 1v1 as well. Yeah, it should work in, I mean, it should definitely work in 1v1 or creative matches. Right now, like, I think in what we saw with that very short match is that I'm making a bunch of assumptions, I think, in the code that certain things will exist. And so if they don't, I may not be handling it properly. So in order to get it to, like, one of the things I need to do, and this is something I should do anyways, is I need to write a suite of tests for it. And then the tests could take different game files, like from 1v1s or from very short games, very long games. And then every time I update the code, I can test it with those game files, and then make sure that they work make sure that it works in all those different scenarios. Hey, what is up, Flawless? So I think what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and we'll try to die of fall damage. We'll try to die of storm damage, and then we'll try to get killed by a player. Right now, we're just, so Flawless, right now we're just trying to generate some game data of a specific type to mess around with my game analyzer. So the goal of this match is that I'm going to try to die in a couple of different ways, and then remember how we died, and then go look at the cause of death. Because in the file, it tells you cause of death, but it's like a number code, you know, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly what those mean. So I might actually, for the first one, should I do storm damage for the first one or fall damage? Let's try to die of fall damage for the first one. And then I will just jump off the roof at Tilted Towers here hopefully before somebody shoots me. Let's see here. Yeah, I think someone might shoot me before I actually make it to fall damage, but maybe, we'll see. All right. Oh, really? You're kidding. Dude, I didn't even, I don't even have enough to build up either, so I gotta that was not enough to die of fall damage. Let me see if I can get up on the roof. Let's see here. Let's go up and see. I should definitely die this time. Let me equip my pickaxe so that I'm not trying to avoid players as well, because I would like to die of fall damage and not from player death. Oh, okay. All right. Well, death one was getting shot by a player, not dying of fall damage. Let's try to die of fall damage this time. I could just go farm some mats and like ramp up and die somewhere. So I'm gonna go out on the edge here and just try to farm some mats and fall to my death. I could also, if I find like a rocket launcher or something, I could blow myself up so we could see what the value of that, what that death code is. All right, so I should actually have more than enough mats now to die. Let's see here. How high do you think? I don't actually know how high I need to be to die. And actually, I want to make sure I go. Whoops. Let's see if that's enough. Okay, there we go. Sweet. All right, so killed by a player the first time, died of fall damage the second time, and now I think I want to just die of storm. So I'm gonna go out here and see if I can camp till storm. And this will be incredibly boring, but oh, there's somebody here. They're actually gonna kill me, I think. Yeah, we'll see. They could be a bot. Maybe I should just try to. Yeah, I think that player's probably a bot. Let me just see. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, I just got... Nope, they're not a bot. I got sniped by them. Hunting rifle. Okay. Well, I've got some game data, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. We at least have fall damage. That was the second death. We'll see if there's any difference now in the... It'd be interesting to see if there's a different code for the first one and second one, because that would indicate that there are different causes of death codes for different weapons. All right, so let me go ahead and try to parse these files here. Let's run it again, see what happens. Okay, cool. So we have data from this second game. I think, yes. Let me go copy and paste all this out of here. Whoops. Accidentally closed that window. Did not mean to do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this into Notepad so that it's a little bit easier to look at. All right. Okay, Modpack Dad, false, platform win, kills unknown, cause 4. Interesting. So cause of death 4, and then, but that's actually, so this raises a whole nother question, which I didn't think about, which is that so let's see here. Google says there are different ones for different weapons, but can't find the actual data. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's good to know. I was just thinking about this because I died 3 times in that game, but this initial, when I initially load up the data, it's probably only going to have the most recent one. And so like in this part here, I load up the data. This is my player, platform, bot false, platform Windows, kills unknown, cause 4. And then that was the pickaxe and glider that I had equipped. So I am assuming that 4 is going to be my last death, which was when I was killed by the hunting rifle. So I think actually probably the easiest way to figure it out would be to do a solo BR where I don't have multiple causes of deaths. So these are all limbs here. Let's see if they've got, let's see. So let me go look through the limbs. This is an limb here, cause 4. I should have, I got limbed 3 times. Okay, Modpack Dad bot cause 4. And then Modpack Dad cause 4. That is weird. They're all 4, but I clearly died of fall damage once. Flawless, thank you for the sub, W sub. Awesome. I appreciate it. Let me give you a big shout out here. You having Flawless as one of my W mods, as is Marley. I've got 2 mods in the channel today. That's awesome. If you haven't already, check out Flawless and give him a follow. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about this because clearly I died at least one way was different, right? And they're all 3 of them are saying 4. And so I don't know exactly why all of them say 4. And so I probably need to go back and do a little bit more splunking or investigating to see. We could go ahead and let me try to run. I could try to run a slightly. It's confusing in reload because you can die multiple times as well. I'm going to try it again, and we're going to do a battle royale, and I'm going to try to let the game run long enough that there's enough data in there that my finger doesn't crash, and then we'll try to die of storm damage, and we'll see if we can identify what the code is for that. So let's give that a shot here while I wait for Fortnite to start back up. Because it seems like cause of death for code 4 is a pretty common one. So I was kind of assuming that cause of death code 4 would be, being shot or killed by another player. But I don't know. And as Marley mentioned, it sounds like, they have different values for being killed by different weapons. Like I'm assuming that they'll classify between like shotgun and rifle, basically like anything that my guess, I don't know this for a fact, but anything that you see in the kill feed, like when someone kills you with a hunting rifle in the kill feed, it should say you're killed with a rifle. I don't remember if you get killed with an AR, if it says rifle or not, but I'm guessing that whatever categorization they use in the kill feed is probably the same categorization that they would use for identifying the weapon that killed you. I'm getting the info from the replay files, the same ones. Like if you go into the careers tab here and go to replays, these files that are saved on your computer, that's where I'm getting the info from. And then we're just kind of looking at the data that's in there to try and see like what we can figure out from the data. Yeah, and I know that like Osirian has definitely figured this out, because when you go look in Osirian, it does show you to some degree some weapon stats. And even in like Fortnite Tracker, I mean, Fortnite Tracker for a while used to sometimes show you stuff relative to like weapons and like how many kills you got with each weapon. But it seems like that was a feature that was kind of constantly breaking. At least that was what it seemed like when I tried to use it. And I wouldn't be surprised. It was just kind of hard to keep on top of because stuff is always changing. So, all right. So goal for this game is we are going to, I'm just going to land in Battle Royale, and I'm going to try and die to the storm. And then we'll see what the cause of death number is for that. And then I'm not going to go through all of them in this stream because I feel like that'd probably be a little bit too boring, but that will at least give me a starting point, and then I can actually kind of over time deduce what they are. So yeah, I don't know. I hope this has been at least somewhat interesting for folks. I was kind of debating whether or not to do this type of stream because I wasn't sure if it would be interesting. Probably not like something that folks would want to watch every day, but I feel like every once in a while pretty interesting. And then eventually, as I kind of get the tool more flushed out and actually make it like usable, then I'll probably just make it available for free download with the source code if it turns out to be somewhat useful. All right, so I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna go to resistance base over here and see, and bet that will be in storm for circle. Marley says, I wonder if it's marking all the times you die, but only pulling data from the first or last source of data. Yeah, that could be it. And that's why I decided to switch over to Battle Royale, since I can only die once. Whereas I was just wondering with reload, since I can die 3 times, I didn't want to try and guess right now how that is interpreted. because the first thing that the first thing that the program does is that it loads up all of the player data, and the player data is just like a it's just like a list of players in the file, in the replay file, and so it has a death cause for them. But I'm guessing that that's always going to be the last one. And then after that, I iterate over the eliminations, which is a different set of data. And the other thing is that I might not be getting the death cause value from the elimination section. I might be getting it from the player data, and maybe I need to see if I can get it from the other one instead. But I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that the reload match, right? I died 3 times, and so maybe it just got the first one. Or sorry, the last one. That would be my guess, is that the last one, so. All right, let me just get some. Yeah, this is more than likely a bot, given how late they are landing here, unless it's someone just trying to hunt me down from the jump pad over at resistance base, but yeah, definitely a bot. I mean, they're swimming, come on. Zero hamburguesa. Definitely a bot. Where did my fish go? Did that fish disappear? Dude, you guys saw that fish that was right there. It totally freaking disappeared. I opened the cooler, and there's a flopper, and it's gone. Oh, there it is. It was under the rock. Okay. That was weird. Bro, I want my flopper. Seriously. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if even in the reload matches, like, all of the data is in there. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I'm in builds right now. I'm not actually going to play. I'm just going to try to die of storm, but I have been mostly trying to play builds more, even if it means looking like an idiot and dying. So, let's see here. Where is the... We've got about... I could just actually swim out once the storm comes in and just die of storm damage that way. I don't actually need any loot, but I'm just kind of keeping it to try and preserve myself should somebody come fight me. So let's go ahead and wait for the storm to come out, and then once it does, I will just swim out to the storm and die out there. Okay, that could be useful to get out there. So, all right, storm's coming in. Let's see if we can... We've got a minute 39. I could actually just start swimming out that way too. I wonder if I throw that thing down. Oops, can't throw it there. Am I gonna hit that? Oh, let's just go ahead and... Oh, can I land on this thing? Wait a second. Wait a second here. What is... Can you actually, like... What? Oh, man, I'm totally... Look at that. I didn't know you could do that. I've got another jump pad glitch that I need to post a clip of from last night. All right, storm's coming. I did not realize that that was possible to throw these in the water. That seems like a bug. All right, here is storm. So I'll just go ahead and swim out and wait for it to come in. Look at that, 50 players left. That's weird. Storm looks way closer than it does on the map. Like, I should be like right there. Okay, here we go. All right, there we go. So we should be dying shortly here. All right, we got almost there. Almost there. Oh, you can't emote in the water, huh? That's too bad. I guess I can go up on this rock and emote. Let's see here. Oh, when you're there, Tyler Moore. I don't care what they say about us anyways. I don't care about that. So yeah, see how it says like Snow Day was eliminated by a rifle? I'm assuming that the kill codes will be categorized based off of that, like rifle, shotgun, pistol, whatever the main like higher level categories of guns are. But we shall see. All right, 35 seconds to go. Oh, oh, and you're married, Tyler. I don't care what they say about us anyways. I don't care about that. 16, 15, 14, 13. And so actually we should make note of that, I should have actually screen captured those. We go back and look at the clips because seeing how those people were killed, I guess, I don't know, the people that are in the kill feed may not be in our data file because they may not have been close enough to us, because the replay data in the file should just be like some, vicinity around you. It's not everything, but if there were some in there and we were making note of how they died, then we could potentially use that to also kind of reverse engineer what those codes mean. All right. So let's go ahead and get back into Visual Studio, and then let's rerun this thing and see what happens. All right, so what is the most recent file? Let me copy and paste. Whoops, I did not mean to close that. Let's try this again. All right, well, I keep meaning to copy and paste, but I keep closing the window, so sorry about that. Let me go ahead and copy and paste this out, and then we'll go into Notepad again, paste it in here. Okay, so I'm looking for, I'm assuming these are going to be ordered by most recent. So let's see here, 9/2/1303 replay. 21 minutes. No, so that was probably not the most recent game. Let me find the most recent one. Is that going to be down at the bottom here? Here we go. Okay, so 9:02:13. So it's 22 past the hour, and this was at 13 past the hour. So that should be the game that, or is it weird? An error occurred while reading the replay file. Maybe is that 1313? I would think that was the game. Maybe I wonder why it's failing to read that file. Clearly, I've got some more work to do here. All right, let's see here. So this one is 1303. And I don't think that was the one we just started, because that would have been like 20 minutes ago, and there's no way we were in that game for 20 minutes. Let me go look at the replay directory real quick. There should be 3 files in there. Let me go look and see here. Give me just a second. Okay, so all right, so we had one at 120. Date modified 120. Yeah, so this is the most recent one, and there's a bunch of data in there. 5.11 megabytes, 5.11 megabytes. So that should be, there is a sufficient amount of data in there. I'm just going to go ahead and that's a good question. I don't know if it pulls data from the pre-lobby or not. I don't know if it starts when you're, so replay files, if I go into Fortnite and go into career replays, it does show the lobby in there, or the lobby island. So I'm assuming it does have that information in it. But I don't know for a fact. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just look at this file name here. So this was 131305. This is the previous. Oh, interesting. That's a funny name. Steve is cooked. Not a bot. Platform. Xbox Series X. Kills unknown. Cause of death 4. I'm seeing a lot of cause of death 4, which makes me think that it's probably like shotgun or rifle. Like this person, cause of death 5. 5 and 4 seem pretty prevalent. There are some with 3. I really just want to, I'm kind of bummed that we can't read this file, and I don't know why off the top of my head. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to have to revisit that a little bit later, because I just don't want to bore folks with me kind of trying to debug this real time. But this is definitely the file that we from the last game. And so far we've seen cause 3, cause 4, cause 5. So 3, 4, and 5. I don't think we've seen any other values so far. 3, 4, 5. These are all 4, 5. There's unknown, which is basically empty. That's what I put in whenever the cause of death is empty, but it seems like they're all 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to actually make note of that now, just so I don't forget. Where is that? Let's see here. So, cause of death code seen so far: 3, 4, 5, or null. And Marley says, I also wonder, okay, would this pull in any data from the pre-lobby? I thought so because of the loaded in data set. Yeah, I think it would. I think it would probably pull stuff from the lobby. And that's a good observation. I think what Marley is talking about is in the, where is it? Let me find the player data. So in the player data model, what we saw was that there is something that I think says basically like if somebody is loaded in. So like here we've got player disconnected, and that would tell us like if somebody is DC'd. There should be another one, has started playing, right? So yeah, has finished loading, has started playing. And then has thank bus driver, is using stream mode. The interesting thing about these is that these are all basically time dependent values, meaning that their state can change. Like stuff like your pickaxe, that's not changing once the game has started. You can only change that in your locker. Well, I guess except in creative mode, but in most normal games, you can't change it once it's started. But these values change over the course of the game. And one of the things that I haven't actually dug into is actually analyzing the data like on a time basis. So like in theory, like I could, basically kind of like track, well, I could at least for my own player track, like when I connected, when I jumped off the bus, when I thanked the bus driver, and then see those changes. For other players, I could try to track that over time, but I'm only going to see, my understanding of how the data works is that I'm only going to like, there's only going to be like, if I encounter a player, like let's say that, fictitious example, like let's say I encounter a player in the lobby, then at that point in time, they're like, thank the bus driver value should be false um, because they haven't thanked the bus driver yet because we haven't been on the bus and they haven't had a chance. If we get onto the bus and then they thank the bus driver, then at that point their state should change to having thanked the bus driver. But I think that like that will come across in this file as an event. And so I would need to like parse that event. I would need to know how to like see that event and then note that the state changed from them having not thanked the bus driver to having thanked the bus driver. And that is honestly something that I have not gotten into yet. One thing we could do to try and look at that is we could try to look at the replay class here and see what's in there. So this is the actual replay. And so like in the replay data structure itself, it's got eliminations, it's got stats, it's got team stats, it's got game data, which is a whole nother model that we'd have to go look at. I don't know what's in game data. That could just be like the game mode and different types. Team data. Oh, kill feed entry. Look at that. So we can actually like play back the kill feed entry, which is kind of cool. or we might be able to, assuming that data is in there. And then map data as well. And that's all that's in the replay file. And then there's also player data in there, which we get out, but I don't see that listed here. And then if we go look at game data, like we could open up game data and see what stuff is available in game data. So game data has game session ID, match started time, match end time, map info, current playlist, additional playlist levels, recorder ID, max players, total bots. Oh, that's interesting. So they actually put that data is actually in there. So you can, instead of having to go through all the players and count the number of bots seen, you can actually just get the total bot count that's in the game data itself. Team size, that would be squads, duos, solos. Is tournament round, that would tell you if it's a comp match or not, I'm assuming. Is large team game. I don't know what, I'm assuming that would be something above 4 players. Interesting. Aircraft start time. Safe zone. Oh, I'm assuming aircraft start time must be the bus start time, maybe. And then the safe zone start time, and then winning team. So these are all things that you can get out of the game data. Interesting. But anyways, I'm still not sure why that file is not parsing. And I'll have to go back. Maybe what I'll do is like off stream, I'll go ahead and try and recreate some better game data and see what happens. But I feel like we made pretty good progress today just in getting to know the data better. We extracted some additional stuff like pickaxe glider, death cause. It would be nice to know more about death cause, and I'll probably do some more experimentation with it offline to see if I can figure out what the different values are. Yeah, so I think I'm probably with that, I think I'm probably gonna maybe, let's see, raid out here so I can go grab some lunch. So if you folks want to stick around, first of all, thanks for popping in and hanging out. Really appreciate it. I think chat's been super useful, and I'm glad that people found this interesting. And I'm definitely happy to do more of it as well. Marley says, if you add kill feed, we could line it up with cuts. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we probably could do that. Yeah, if I add kill feed, then that would be a good way to line it up with cause of death, and then we could probably map out what the different cause of death values are. And that would be cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I think, like over time, I'll probably try and make this into a somewhat useful tool. I think one of the big things I need to do too is probably spend a little bit of time on a UI for it. Right now, it is very much just like proof of concept, just proving that I can get the data out. But as I look at the data more and try to imagine like how somebody may want to use it or interact with it, then we could actually build a UI around it and see, or kind of make it, make it more user friendly and interesting for people to use. So I think I'm going to try to find somebody here in the Fortnite world to raid out to, see who's playing. Or actually, I may I think we're gonna raid out to Miss Ari today. So let's give a warm welcome to Miss Ari, everybody. And if you can stick around for the raid, I definitely appreciate it. And give me just a second here and we'll get started. And again, thanks everybody for popping in. I wasn't, definitely excited that folks wanted to stick around and talk about this and see what I'm doing there. And I'll try to make it more and more interesting. Again, this is only my second time doing coding stream, so I'm still kind of like trying to figure out how to make it interesting. So hopefully that will get better over time. So yeah, let's go ahead and raid out to Miss Ari and give her a warm welcome. Woohoo! Thanks everybody, appreciate it. Catch you next time. And we will be raiding out in 3, 2, 1, go.
Bro. I don't think we actually gotten any. Oh! Great! Holy mod pack! Yay!
It's fine, Captain.